Hello and welcome to bonus episode 1 of Sloan the Record, recording on January the 26th, releasing on January 29th, 2025. My name is Nathan Sloan and I'm joined today by a very special guest, my wife, Emily. With our first child due in about a week from when we're recording, we will be talking about Emily's pregnancy experiences to date and sharing a bit about what both of us have been thinking and feeling over the past 9 months. Regular episodes of the podcast will resume publishing each Sunday, and we appreciate every listener. You can make sure you catch each episode and bonus episode by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Podbean. Just search for Sloan the Record. Well, here we are. Hello, Emily. Welcome to the studio, aka our extra room above the garage.
Happy to be here.
So, in this first episode, I'm thinking that first bonus episode. I'm thinking that I'm just going to run through some questions and we'll talk. And hopefully there will be something that will be of value to listeners or to ourselves in the future or to this guy in the future. And whatever we get. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to edit it, try and make it sound better. This is just completely unfiltered Nathan and Emily. Since this is a bonus episode, really quick, I did want to define what a bonus episode is for the purposes of this podcast. It's the same as a regular episode, so this isn't a miniature episode or anything. We're going to go for a full, basically in this, as long as we need to record everything we want to say. Typically, our episodes are about 50 minutes, but who knows what might happen this time. It's a bonus episode. We could go long if we wanted to. Hey, folks, this is Nathan coming in for an edit. I know I just got done saying I wasn't going to do one, but here we are. I wanted to clarify for folks that have never heard the podcast before, if this is your first time, normally Emily isn't a co-host with me. Normally it's my dad, Ron Sloan, but we wanted to bring Emily in for this bonus episode, and I just didn't want anyone to be surprised if they came back and listened to another episode and Emily wasn't here. There's a very good chance she'll be back in the future sometime, but this is a special occasion. Just wanted to clarify that. So, first question, I want to travel back in time, maybe close your eyes, maybe just envision this. You may not even remember all these dates and things, but I went back and looked at them. So let's go all the way back to May 31st of 2024. On that day, I was sitting downstairs and you were upstairs, and I've gone back and checked the messages to confirm.
Yeah.
At 6:33 p.m., I received a text message from you that simply said, "Can you come up here?" And that's the only text message between us that whole day. And of course, when I got up there, you told me that the pregnancy test you'd taken had come back positive. And I pulled out my phone and snapped a photo. But for a few moments, at least, you were the only one in the world that knew that we were going to have a baby. What do you remember about that moment and that day?
Well, the moment, I just remember it really was only a moment because I definitely texted you like immediately. And I just remember like, am I reading this right? Like triple checking really quick and then texting you. But that's exactly what I remember is sending you the "can you come up here" text. But I kind of like knew or thought, I kind of had a feeling before the test. But it was still like crazy once and it was quick. Like it was quick to say positive. But yeah, once I saw it, I immediately wanted you to come upstairs and be there and know.
Yeah, what I remember about it was, of course, getting that text message, and I was pretty sure that's what it was. But I was I guess you have nervous feelings as well because it's new territory, it's uncharted territory. But in the moment, I was just happy. And I remember taking out my phone to snap that picture and looking on the screen. And your face did not look happy in that moment. And you kind of were like, okay, let me I'm going to smile. But you were happy. It was just, it's just a shocking moment. And you have 1,000 thoughts going through your head.
Yeah.
All at one time. And then, of course, we printed the pictures out and started planning. I think we took a picture downstairs in the living room as well. I don't know if that was the same day.
I think that was after our first appointment.
So,
I took a picture. I remember taking a picture with Well, I remember feeling the weight of everything very quickly in terms of like, I guess, what am I don't know, just what do I need to do to make sure I'm being healthy, like immediately. And I knew I wanted to get a test that actually read out like a digital test, like a more expensive, like for sure test. And I think it was after that one that I took a picture with Daisy in the background with the test too, because can't got to involve the puppy too.
I don't know why, but yes, we do typically involve the dog. And speaking of Daisy, we've been getting ready for the baby today, so we've been moving things around the house. And when we're moving things, I don't know if anybody else's dog's like this, but she does not like when things are not happening on the normal schedule, and when big things are being moved around, it's very nerve-wracking.
Vacuum.
Yeah, the vacuum came out, which is terrifying. So she's had a rough afternoon, and now that we're sitting down in the office and recording, she's finally getting some peace and quiet, and she is passed out, fully flopped out behind us right now. Hopefully she does not get up and start barking or doing anything crazy. So that was May 31st, so pretty much right before you went on to the summer break as a teacher. And that means your first trimester was on break. So other than a trip that we took to the mountains, pretty much you were home that entire first trimester. What do you remember about that time? Not just how you were feeling, but maybe even that trip to the mountains.
I remember definitely being happy that I wasn't having to teach because I just remember being very tired and, nauseated and all that. I remember the couch a lot and then trying to find foods that sounded appealing in the moment. Which I think I had an easy time of it compared to maybe others, or it wasn't too bad, but it definitely just felt so tiring that I was like, man, if I had to be getting up and teaching every day and all that, I'd be struggling. So I was really glad that it was summertime. And I remember that was the time where doctor's appointments were like a month apart, so it felt like forever waiting to get a new update. And it felt like forever before we could tell people because we didn't tell anybody till the very end of the summer. So I remember it was just a time of probably a lot of Googling and just wanting to get more updates, but it felt like it was going by slowly.
Yeah, you got to know our old couch pretty well because we actually, on that same mountain trip, we ended up buying a new sofa that had to be shipped to us. So I don't think it actually ended up arriving for a few weeks. But that was a good sofa. And still don't know what to do with it. It's sitting downstairs. We have an extra sofa, so have to figure out what to do with that. I do remember in the mountain trip a fun moment, which we've captured on film. And we knew that we were going to, at the end of the summer, start telling folks. And we were out there with my sister, Melissa, and Jordan, my brother-in-law, and we're at this waterfall because over the last 5, 6, maybe even more than that years, we've kind of taken an annual trip in the summer to go hike to waterfalls, and they were in the background, and we closer to the waterfall, and we were a little further away from the waterfall, and I said I wanted to take some pictures of Emily, and she had the idea. Well, I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, I just remember them being behind us, and yeah, I just remember thinking like, oh, a cute way to tell them eventually that we were having the baby was to do like a little bump picture of me, yeah, just like holding my stomach in front of the waterfall.
With them in the background.
With them in the background. There wasn't really much of a bump there, but I mean, you could get the picture once you saw it. So
yeah, so that was a fun thing to be able to do, because in that moment, the reason I even bring that story up is those first 3 months for anybody that's gone through it, where you're the only people that know, if you choose to wait that long to tell folks. You just want to talk to somebody. You wish you could tell someone this big life altering for you. I know it's very common But personally, it's a very life altering thing, and you're with people that you're close to and that you care about just about every day in different circumstances, and you can't tell them. And so just to do something like that gives you a little bit of a, okay, you know how much we wanted to tell you this whole time, and we just couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think we had like another month. Or yeah, probably a month to go or so. Or maybe a
Yes.
couple weeks at least.
Well, I've
before.
got exact dates here, so we'll
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay.
So before we get to that, though, we decided through the marvels of modern technology to figure out or discover whether or not we had a boy or a girl ahead of time. And I was a little bit torn about that because I think my parents waited. I was the last of three, and they waited to find out until I was born. And I think there was a good deal of excitement around that, being able to wait and not know. But there are benefits as well to finding out ahead of time. So, what do you think, Emily, as far as the benefits swayed you into figuring it out? Probably most people now, I would assume, want to find out ahead of time. But why did you want to find out ahead of time? And what do you remember about finding out?
I think I wanted to know ahead of time just because I don't think I could wait that long. I mean, I could, but I didn't want to wait that long. I kind of wanted to know and I think at that point, because it is so, modern with the technology, I don't even think I could feel like little movements or anything yet. So I feel like it was another way to connect. Just again, I feel like it was at the end of the first trimester, maybe. So again, appointments were really far apart and I wasn't feeling anything yet, any flutters. And so I think it was just another way to be like, this is real and the baby's coming and like all that kind of stuff. It's probably a big reason why I wanted to know. And then, I remember, we didn't do anything big or a gender reveal or anything like that. We just got the email and I didn't want to wait. So we just opened it up and I remember we were in the bedroom, just like you. I think you were getting ready for work that day or something.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because going back to when we first got married, we talked about names for kids, and the vast majority of names that we came up with were names for girls. Mm-hmm. And so I think we preconditioned ourselves subconsciously in some way to expecting a girl, even though, obviously that it could be a boy or a girl. Mm-hmm. And for me, there was just a little moment of like, oh, it was a surprise. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe it would have been a surprise either way.
Yeah.
But then we had the ordeal of, well, we haven't thought of boy names except for really fun boy names that I throw out and Emily immediately shoots down. So we had to go on this long journey of trying to think of a boy name that both of us liked and met all our criteria. And we're still on that journey. We have not officially, a week out, we have not officially decided. Emily wants to wait until she meets baby Sloan before making any kind of official decision.
But we have a short list for the most part. I wouldn't mind having like one more in there that we both really like, maybe. But
so if you're listening to the podcast, you have 3 days. Send us your idea. No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a couple more days that we can look up different names and well, what did you feel when you heard boy?
I think I was a little surprised too, but even though I knew, it goes 50-50. And then I had a little bit of a moment of like, well, I'm a girl, so I don't know anything about boys. And then I realized, well, I don't really know anything about, having a baby yet either way. So it's going to be a learning curve either way. So I'm excited to have a little buddy.
Yeah, you were an only child as a girl, and then your mom was an only child as a girl. So
yeah,
we're mixing things up here with a boy coming in just about a week. So one of the things that a lot of folks ask in that first trimester, second trimester, I got questions a couple times anyway, is does she have any weird cravings or what she's smelling or what she's tasting. What I think there's some not obvious, but typical things that people like pickles. Mm-hmm. What did you crave?
Yeah, in the beginning, because there were like 2 weeks after the test, once we found out, there were 2 weeks or maybe even closer to 3 where I didn't feel like any symptoms, which was nice. It got me to the summer and no school until I started feeling anything. But once that hit, yeah, for the most part, the only thing that really like I didn't like were eggs, which has not gone away. And then it would be really random. I would feel like, oh, I don't want to eat this or this in this moment, but nothing long term other than the eggs. And then a lot of sour things I liked in the first trimester. So I would put dill pickles kind of with that. So I definitely ate a lot of pickles. And then like sour candy would help. Those are the big things that I remember. And then
Wasn't there some kind of sour gummy thing that your mom gave you that
yeah, she got me they were like sour hard candies towards the end. Because again, we waited till, that was technically in the second trimester and starting to feel better before we told anybody. So by the time she got those to me, I was kind of at the tail end. But I did have I don't know if it was a symptom or whatever, I'd never heard of it, where it wasn't just like nausea, but just like a really bad taste in your mouth. So even if you like weren't hungry or you hadn't eaten anything, I just had like a taste in my mouth. So gum or like hard candy helped with that. But yeah, I feel like, and then I remember like our first meal once finding out was Taco Bell. And Taco Bell came into play, I think, a lot in the first trimester, if I remember.
Yes,
So.
whether it's talking about your pregnancy or a first year freshman at a college, Taco Bell does come into play quite frequently. Yeah, and the weird thing is, I would occasionally want Taco Bell in the first 7 years of our marriage, and I would ask for Taco Bell, and you were just like, nah, you dismissed it, even though you grew up very close to a Taco Bell, so I don't know why you had this aversion, but boy, has that changed here recently for whatever reason. And I want to point out another thing that is a little different, and that's strawberries. So anybody that knows me knows that strawberries are my favorite fruit, and they always have been. My mom would take me to the strawberry patch when I was probably 2 or 3 years old, and some of my earliest memories are going to that little strawberry patch and picking strawberries and eating them. So growing up, I wanted strawberry flavored everything, strawberry ice cream, strawberry shortcake for my birthday, everything strawberry. And Emily likes strawberries. Don't get me wrong. She's always not had a problem with them. She'll get the chocolate covered strawberries sometimes from the grocery store, but it has gone to another level. Wouldn't you say? Fair to say?
Yeah, and that has hit later. Like, but yeah, I've been eating a ton of those with yogurt or by themselves. And another thing was like normally, and I feel like you're like this too, like between like vanilla and chocolate ice cream, we normally go like vanilla, I feel like. Or vanilla flavored things. But I have really liked chocolate a lot during this pregnancy. So that's another one that
Begs the question,
different.
why not chocolate covered strawberries now? You're doing it in Greek yogurt. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what baby boy likes. If he ends up liking strawberries, then I'm going to go ahead and go on the record here saying that is why she likes strawberries, is because it's my son and he likes strawberries as much as his dad.
Yeah, I'll let you take that one.
So yeah, that's anything else like weird cravings or smells or aversions to things, or you think you pretty much covered everything?
I think that's it. I don't know if you remember me asking you to like bring home stuff but I don't think I had anything like crazy. And people have asked me that, and I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah, I feel like you've been pretty mellow as far as food and everything.
Yeah, and like I know some people like just opening the fridge and the smells in the fridge, they are very triggered by that, and nothing crazy like that ever
You
ever
told
went
me that
down.
I stank a couple times.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Early on, you were like, you need to back away from me. You smell bad. So that hurt my feelings a little, but I tried to take it.
I'm sorry.
No, you had biological things going on. Hopefully, I don't always smell that bad.
No.
So, we told our parents and family members on the weekend of your birthday, if you'll remember. So, starting on August 2nd, and that was when we told my dad, because we were on the way out of town to go visit your parents. And that was fun. Dad gave us a good reaction. When we got to your parents' house there in Southport, I think it was me that suggested, why don't we wait the night? Because we get in kind of late, and you don't want to drop that news on somebody right before they're trying to go to bed. So why don't we wait the night, and we'll get up first thing in the morning and tell them. So yeah, I've got pictures. I've gone back and looked at some of the pictures of the gifts that we gave them, and I'll let you tell how that went. But that was probably around 8:30 in the morning. And then after that, when we left on Sunday, came back and told pretty much the rest of the family at different points. But what are your recollections of what it was like to tell everybody finally, that relief of not being able to tell the people we're closest to and then getting to tell them?
Yeah, there was definitely like relief and excitement. I think it was a little nerve-wracking too, because had just been you and me knowing, so it just added another level of reality, I guess, to tell people, and like, yeah, just people knowing instead of just you and me. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but more than anything, definitely exciting, and it made my birthday, I think, more fun too. I mean, I like my birthday personally, but but I think it made it even more exciting. And yeah, your dad had a good reaction, and it was really hard waiting to tell my parents till the next morning, but I think it was a good idea.
And what was your idea for telling them?
So for them, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I remember going to Barnes and Noble like a little bit, beforehand, and I was looking for like grandparent books or something, because obviously I like reading, and knew I wanted to get some books for the baby too. And I think I was looking for books about grandparents, but I wasn't feeling the ones that were at Barnes and Noble. So I don't remember which one I happened to see first. It actually might have been the flower one. So Mom likes gardening and flowers and all that, and so I was like, oh, this is like a book with, that's kind of connected to something that Mom likes. And then I knew I'd be able to find like a fire truck book or something to connect to Dad. So I think that's the order that I found them. And so, yeah, I bought both of those and decided to give them those books, and then tell them that obviously it was for a baby, but...
I got the impression, and you may feel differently or you may have looked differently, but we kind of you gave the little gift bags to both of them at the same time. And it seemed to me like your mom, within like 5 seconds, figured it out. But I don't know if it was like, if your dad was like, I don't want to guess.
He's like, this is a weird present.
Yeah, I don't want to guess until you say something. But yeah, that's what I remember about it.
Well, I also remember having to wait for Dad to sit down because he's always moving around and doing stuff. He was outside doing something. He was in the kitchen cleaning something, who knows, and walking around. So I remember having to sit there and wait for Dad to be sitting. And then because his was a fire truck thing, people get him fire truck and fire things all the time. Yeah. So I think he's used to just getting random little fireman gifts. So I think he kind of thought he probably was distracted by that a little bit too. And it was a cool book. It had moving parts, so he might have been looking at that. But yeah, I think Mom definitely knew like a little bit faster, and she waited a minute for him to find out. And then I remember him, I don't remember how he did it, but I remember he was on his feet. Like, I remember him standing up very quickly and looking like, oh my goodness. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a fun memory, and you only get to tell someone that they're going to have their first grandchild one time. So
Yeah.
it's something that I will always remember,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure they will too. So the rest of that weekend unfolded, and we told my siblings and started telling other relatives and friends, and then yeah, to your point, it started to feel just that other level of real.
Mm-hmm.
And before we move fully into talking about the second trimester, I'm going to share a little bit of what was going on in my head. I think I was excited initially, happy that day we took the picture and everything and found out. And then it was probably 24 hours later that I was thinking of all of the things that I'm sure other parents think of, like, oh gosh, this is going to be a whole new level of responsibility, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody that their survival for a period of time is going to depend on me meeting their needs,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, I've got to earn more money now, and all these things that can cause you some degree of stress or anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Those were a little more intense for me, I think, in the first month of knowing. And so I just kind of turned my brain off to a certain extent. You weren't showing, as you mentioned, like it was easy to kind of just go, oh, we have this information, but I can pretend like it's not, I can shelve it over here
Mm-hmm.
in this part of my brain and then carry on about my day as usual. So, yeah, picked up on my video game hobby and played a video game over the summer more than I had played it in a very long time. But then when we got through that and started telling people, I was forced to come back down to earth and remember, oh, this is a real thing that's happening, and start. And at that point, I don't think I was as nervous. So because it was fun to tell everybody, and then when you've got a shorter runway before the baby comes, I think the practical part of my brain could kick into gear and start thinking about, here's the order of operations. We need to do this and this and this to get ready. And so that gave my brain something to do whenever I would think about the baby coming. So second trimester for you, was it the second trimester or was it third trimester is the first time you actually could feel him moving around a little bit?
You can feel it in the second trimester. It just is a lot, quieter, I guess. So
Do you remember the first time you felt some kind of fluttering or feeling?
I think if I remember, like I was on the couch one day after school, but I feel like the first few times you don't really know because it kind of just like, or you question if that's what it is because it kind of just feels like a bubble in there moving around or like little bubbles or, you know, nothing crazy. It didn't feel fluttery like some people say. It felt, yeah, like bubbly. So I think the first time I was like, yeah, this is for real was just one day after school. I was just sitting on the couch. But I wish I could remember the exact like week, like what week or month I was in. But it was definitely sometime in the second trimester. I remember it starting a lot earlier than I thought, but I feel like it was probably around the halfway point, probably 20 weeks or so.
And what else do you, if the first trimester was characterized by the
Fatigue
fatigue and
and nausea.
nausea and all that, what was the second trimester like for you?
Definitely got my energy back and felt really good. And you hear that a lot that the second trimester is like the golden time because you do start showing, which is exciting, and you feel cute with a cute little bump. And then I still think this bump is cute too, but it's a lot bigger. But yeah, it's a cute little tiny bump, so you start kind of showing more. I remember I was showing within like week 14 or 15. I feel like right when we went back to school, so that was very very early in the second trimester. And yeah, I just remember thinking that was exciting. Starting to feel him moving around was exciting. A little bit more frequent doctor's appointments, which was nice. And then looking forward to the anatomy scan and actually getting to see him on the ultrasound. I remember being really excited for that, which was about week 20. Those are the big things. And I remember, yeah, just feeling really good for the most part. Like not a lot of aches and pains, teaching and enjoying my classes, and yeah, feeling pretty good.
That's something that I can say is apparent to me from the outside looking in. There was some degree of trepidation, as I would think would be the case with everybody before they get pregnant, of what is my pregnancy going to be like? Mm-hmm. And they're all different to an extent, and you mm-hmm. never know really. But in our case, I got the feeling that, Emily, you had some concerns about mm-hmm. how you would feel throughout it. And I was relieved mm-hmm. to see that it was not the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. You know, you did have some nausea and you had some things that were not ideal. And right now, obviously, you've got some physical, I guess, adjustments that you've had to make mm-hmm. For mobility and swelling and all that sort of stuff. But your general demeanor toward the whole process has been very positive and feeling good mm-hmm. and happy. So, you know, are you surprised by that? Because I was a little surprised by that.
I was definitely surprised. I'm not good with doctors or medical things. I've always been really nervous around that. Blood draws really took me out. And I mean, from the very first appointment when all that started, they jab you a lot in the beginning and take your blood a lot in the beginning. And the people, or the phlebotomist at least at our place, is really good. And I didn't have I was nervous, but I didn't have any issues with that. So he helped me get over that a little bit. So hopefully it'll stay that way.
I remember the time that you had your blood drawn, the first time that I was there, and you told them that you were very nervous about that, and that have you passed out before, or just gotten, lightheaded feeling? And
I get really lightheaded and feel like I'm going to pass out, and then I end up getting sick. Yeah, I end up getting sick, and that's always been the case, and it has been that way from I think the first time you were with me all the way through until the last time I got my blood done before being pregnant. But every blood draw for the pregnancy, I've been completely fine. I mean, nervous, but fine, and then less and less nervous as it went.
And they came upstairs for you. Normally they have to send the patient downstairs, but when you told them that, they came upstairs to you to do the blood draw. And the secret trick was they took an alcohol pad mm-hmm. and opened it and put it under your nose and said, "Here, just smell this." Mm-hmm. And I was sitting in the corner of the room, and you're just like huffing that alcohol pad so hard. You're like, and you had this terrified look on your face.
I was so scared because I always feel I was scared. And I don't know if it is like a placebo effect, but I've asked for one every single time. It's been a few months since they've had to take blood now.
She was still sniffing it in the car on the way home.
Yeah,
she would just pick it up occasionally and sniff it and put it back down.
Yeah, but
hey, it worked.
It did, and she told me I had to come downstairs after that first one because she said I did fine.
You did too well for the special treatment.
Yeah, which is good. But yeah, I've been surprised by it. I do think for the most part there have been some mentally and physically tough times and moments, but overall, I'm really happy that it's how it's been.
I feel like I've become a comedian because normally my jokes, she'll laugh at my jokes, but I get a lot of eye rolls as well. But now I say things that aren't even supposed to be jokes, and she finds them hilarious. So
yeah, it's been pretty happy.
It's been a happy time, and that's definitely a blessing. So very grateful for that. And so the last trimester, that's where we are now. If you can see the video, we have some video here. That's obvious. So, and speaking of it being obvious, something... You hear people say never ask if somebody's pregnant. You never ask a woman if she's pregnant because you might be wrong or whatever. People have no problem asking you, or just not even asking you, just like saying, "Hey, when's the baby due?" Just everywhere we go, it seems like there's strangers coming up to you. What are some what are some interactions you remember from just strangers passing you and talking to you about your pregnancy?
Yeah, the women are definitely very much like, "Oh, are you okay?" or like, "Bless your heart," or "Oh, I bet you're getting uncomfortable." So, the women who have had children, they normally kind of quickly ask how I'm doing. I get a lot of like, "Is this your first?" type that question a lot. I have had someone ask me multiple times if I'm having twins, and I've told that person that they owe us some diapers for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like it got pretty obvious quickly, and I think just because this the way my body is built, and it's very
You said
nice.
somebody stopped you, some nice person stopped you at the grocery store recently, right?
Yeah, the other day I was looking for one of the small carts, and um, he he offered you to the parking lot and go get me a small cart, and I said, "Are you sure?" And he just patted his stomach, and he's like, "Yes." Like, I was like, "Oh, thanks." This is a nice older man. So, yeah, everyone's been pretty nice. I haven't gotten any like strangers trying to like touch my stomach or anything like that. I feel like none of the really negative interactions, which is good.
Yeah,
So,
the times that I've been around her, it's been, I guess it's been a good, not omen, but like a good, portends something good coming on the horizon for children, because usually when people see it, they light up, they smile, because they're thinking about that time in their
mm-hmm,
life when they had kids, especially if it's, folks that, some of these folks, like she just mentioned, are decades probably past having
mm-hmm,
their children. But when they see somebody that is going through it, it kind of takes them back and they remember what that time of life was like. And so to see so many folks have such positive reactions to her just being in the room, the same room, it tells me that this is something that is a very big positive in a lot of folks' lives, and that sticks with them and stays with them. So
yeah, a lot of strangers smiling at you. So yeah, that is a good
yeah,
good thing.
when we go to church and people turn around to walk out and see you, they're just like, "Oh, hey,"
They're
smiling.
smiling. I'm like, hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you
nice.
you feel like a little mini celebrity, I guess, sometimes.
Hmm.
So last trimester, physical strains coming on.
Hmm.
Not as much of the sickness, nausea stuff that faded away at the first
Hmm.
trimester. What was harder, the first trimester or now? Well, I guess first of all, what are you experiencing?
Hmm.
And then how do you compare that to that first trimester period?
So I think the last month, like month 9 or whatever, is probably a different level than just third trimester for me. Like I feel like I still felt and still do a lot of times feel pretty good. I think in the grand scheme of things, but I would say just going to the restroom, the bladder is a thing. So just having to go do that often. And then I think something I struggled with early in the third trimester was just having to sleep on your side all the time and just kind of having some aches and pains with that a little bit. But that kind of even went away a little bit. So just movement, getting around has been a little bit uncomfortable in some places. And then energy kind of goes back down. It comes in waves in terms of sometimes feeling a ton of energy to get things done and to clean and to want to do things, and then can't get off the couch. So a little mix in between those things. But the feet hurting and all that is definitely starting up. But I would say just in general, the first trimester is still harder because no one likes being nauseated. And again, that fatigue was, if I can remember correctly, that fatigue was way more than what I feel now. And again, like at least now, even if I'm feeling uncomfortable or tired or whatever, I feel him moving around a ton. So at least like I have that. Whereas in the first trimester, you're not feeling much and you don't get to hear the heartbeat every week like I do right now. And you just feel pretty poor in the first trimester. So I would still take the third trimester over the first, personally.
So, third trimester, big milestone event was having our baby shower, which was in mid December.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give a shout out to my Aunt Kay and my cousin Samantha and everyone in my family who came to that event, and friends who came to that event, and people who couldn't come to the event and still sent us their love and support from afar. All of that, text messages and phone calls, it's meant a lot to know that other folks are thinking of us and wanting to help us as we move into this next season of life. What does it mean to you that these folks have taken time out of their day to think about us and offer support?
Oh man, yeah, it does mean a lot. I feel like it is such a nerve-wracking time, even though it's very exciting. And so just to have so many people so open in sharing their excitement, it just feels really nice and it makes you feel really loved and obviously remind you of how many people that we've got in our lives and who he will have too. So it's just really nice.
It was the first time that the shower was the first time I felt something similar to when we had our wedding,
Mm-hmm.
where it was just pleasant. Like everybody was there, and you have people from different walks of life, of your life, that otherwise probably wouldn't be in that room together. Folks from your side of the family and my side of the family, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think that was a really fun way to do it, to have one big shower
Mm-hmm.
and everyone there. Uh, it seems like our friends and family, uh, we've got a group of folks that get along pretty well together, and just was very pleasant and feeling literally showered with love.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my takeaway from that event.
Yeah, I feel like our families are special in that way. Um, or just like in fact the fact of them everyone getting along so well because I remember, with our wedding, we were both pretty young and, we didn't have a lot to, make it extravagant and like blow a bunch of money on this wedding.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember multiple people. I mean, I remember it being obviously a really great day and feeling special, but having people after that day come and say, like, oh, it just felt so special. Even though, again, it wasn't like crazy extravagant or, like the fanciest wedding someone probably has gone to, they would say, but it felt like very memorable to them, which was kind of cool to hear. And I feel like it's just because the friends and family. And then I feel like people were saying that about the shower too. That same thing of just like how special it felt having all these people together. So yeah, I feel like we've got
It was
two.
very close to Christmas, and that's just the way things timed out. It was about a couple weeks before Christmas came, so uh, very tough time to have a shower, I guess, for folks who were going to be traveling and doing stuff anyway. But boy, it did feel like a room full of people that loved us, and that's the most you can ask for.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks again to everyone who came out to that. And I guess we're coming up on the end of this episode. Maybe not the last question, but close to the last question I have here. At this point, we've got the supplies unpacked and the nursery is ready, a plan in place for the day that he comes, and our go bags all set. How would you describe? Yeah, literally 1 week is his due date, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe how you feel right now?
Ooh. I still feel nervous about, the labor process and
Yes.
how that's going to unfold. So thinking about that, I definitely feel like I know some people they get to the very end of their pregnancy and they're like, oh, I'm just ready to have this baby out of here because they're so uncomfortable. There is a little bit of that in terms of like something I didn't mention about third trimester is the carpal tunnel thing, which has been like, I've just never heard of that symptom, but it is a symptom. So just like being able to maybe get some relief from some of that will be kind of cool. But overall, I think I'm excited. I'm excited to meet him. But I'm definitely very nervous for just like the learning curve and just how much we'll have to learn very quickly and just making sure that we're taking care of him the best that we can and just all the change that will happen so quickly.
Yeah, people tell me that it's just like jumping in the deep end of the pool and your system goes into a shock. And I've even heard, hey, second, third kid, that's a piece of cake. It's really the first child that upends everything about your day, and nothing can prepare you for it. So just buckle up and enjoy the ride as much as you possibly can. So that's what I'm trying to prepare myself for. I am enjoying getting a full 8 hours of sleep whenever I can, because I also know, especially that first 3 month period, where there's every 2 hours or so they need food, and so yeah, we're trying to soak up, I guess, the last week, but it feels like very much a calm before the storm. Not mixed emotions. I'm happy, I'm excited, but you don't know what you don't know, and I feel like I'm like there's some meaningful thing that's going to happen, but I have no idea how to put it into words because I've never experienced it. So I look forward to maybe being able to come back and do another follow-up episode in a few weeks or a few months' time and have words to describe some of those feelings. But right now, it's just sort of...
We know something special is coming up, but
But
we're also nervous about it because we hadn't had it yet.
yeah.
So
I guess final thing, and I haven't thought this, I don't have a scripted answer myself, but one of the reasons that this podcast even started to begin with was I wanted there to be some record of what we were thinking and feeling, and a journal of our time around his birth, so that he could come back in the future if he wants to, if he cares, and listen to hear more of what we were experiencing. So with that in mind, if he does listen to this back, what would you want to say to him?
Oh man. I think number one, I'm excited to meet him. I don't know if I should address him or not.
Yeah, address him.
Okay. So very excited to meet you. Really nervous that just hoping that I'm good at this, at least a little bit, this mom thing. And I'm excited to learn who you're going to be as a person, like what you're going to like, what you're not going to like, what you're going to want to be when you grow up at any given time. Yeah, just excited to, get to know you as a person and hope I can be someone that you can come to and talk to when you need somebody. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do fun little adventures and things with you and take you all over the place. I don't know. I'm excited and crazy. It's crazy stuff.
Son, we don't have a name for you yet, but I'll use that as filler. We love you already, or at least I can speak for myself. I love you already.
We do.
And that's I hope you get to experience that feeling someday, because it is a singular feeling, like nothing else, to have a person that's right here and I can feel you moving around, and but yet you're not here, and to know I will love you and I will do whatever I can to help you and assist you in life, in growing and becoming the man that you're meant to be. So yeah, I hope that we do a good job as well. And if you cut us some slack. We're rookies at this too, but just know that you've got parents that care a lot about you, and we are going to try our best, and we will make notes and learn along the way. And hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, we have done a decent enough job that you actually want to listen to this. And yeah, look forward to all those things that Emily mentioned, going on trips and seeing you learn new skills and do new things, and even all of the things that we don't know that are coming, and the scary things and the challenging things. We look forward to those as well, because we get to do them with you. So that's going to wrap things up. Unless there's something, do you have any questions for me, Emily?
Ooh. Let me think for a second. I mean, I don't know. Like, how have you, what have you thought about this whole 9-month just journey of, like, have there been some, like, common thoughts that you've felt towards me or the baby, or anything that you haven't talked about, like, for yourself during these 9 months?
I've always respected you, but I feel a different degree of respect for you for everything that you've had to go through, both things that apparently make you very happy and are positive, but also the challenging things as well, and facing your fears with the doctors and all of that. That's and I'm nervous, probably in a different way, I don't know if a different level, but I'm nervous about the childbirth process as well, because you see it, at least in TV shows and movies, it does not look pleasant. They do not make it look like it's that fun. And I know that whenever anything happens to you, I just want to fix it and make it better. And so I'm afraid already that I'm going to feel powerless to help you. But I hope that I am somehow divinely prepared in the way that I need to be there for you when the moment comes. But just know I do appreciate the time that you've had to learn and stretch and grow, literally and figuratively, for this. And as for myself, yeah, I feel like I'm in a weird in-between state still, to a degree. Of part of me has already learned and grown. I'm already making plans for this year, New Year's resolutions for myself that are beyond what I would normally commit to. So I'm seeing little changes in myself and in the way I think about the future already. But there's also a large part of me that is still the same old Nathan, and that's comforting to a degree, but also a little nerve-wracking to a degree, because I feel like I need to get into gear, and you've had all these changes going on all along that are physical and very obvious, and then the only thing that I've got going on in my head is mental stuff. And so yeah, it's just a feeling of like mystery and a little bit of anxiety, a lot of excitement, and this overwhelming sense that I just am not ready. Like, not always in a bad way. Like, I'm just not ready for how good it's going to be too. I'm not ready for some of the challenges, but I'm not ready for the happiness that it could bring either. I'm just clueless.
Yeah.
I'm just a clueless little guy moving along here, is pretty much what I feel like.
Well, I'll say shout out to you for, you've been really supportive through everything. And I mean, I know, like, you kind of joke about being the person that goes and gets the food or whatever, because you did that before I was pregnant, but like, just stepping up another notch of that, because my food eating has stepped up a notch. But just like going and getting things for me, or the cooking, or, all of these little things that have made things a little bit easier to deal with, you've done. So I've seen outward things that have, not necessarily changed because you've always been supportive, but just things like that I've seen that have made it an easier process. But yeah, you hear the people that are the potentially well-meaning people that will say like, oh, just you wait, and they're talking about something negative. But I've seen so many other people that will combat that with just you wait for, and then it's all the exciting things too. So yeah, I think there's going to be challenges but also really, really cool stuff coming up too. So
A lot of blanks still left to fill in, and we're just going to look forward to filling those blanks in.
mm-hmm.
So that is going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you for joining us and taking the time to hear our thoughts on this experience. It is a very common experience. We know because we look around and we see children everywhere in our neighborhood and in our church and at work and everywhere else. There are kids. But when you're going through it, it feels like it's the first time it's ever happened, because it is the first time it's ever happened to us. So thanks for taking the time to hear our thoughts on it. And yeah, we will catch you in another future episode. Thanks, Emily, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.